Hello everyone, tonight I'm going to make a recipe. It's pretty simple, but it's mine and it's a lot different than what other people do. It's called Ossobuco, and osso comes from the Italian word bone, and buco means whole. So you're supposed to make it with veal shanks, and since veal shanks are very hard to get, I have to use beef shanks. Now, mine is the new version compared to the old version. The old version doesn't use tomatoes in it. The new version uses tomatoes. And I'm going to show you what to do. I'm going to get everything together first, and then I'll recap. Instead of me showing you how to chop and things like that, I'll put the ingredients together. Now my wife helped me out in cutting up the vegetables. Now I'm not too much on measuring. All the Ossobuco recipes out there call for like only one celery stalk, one small onion, one carrot. I like more vegetables. I like carrots, I like celery, so I put more in. I have here about 2 cups of celery, and you see it's not diced fine, and 1 large onion, and the onion is cut into about 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. Okay, and carrots is sliced. This is another 2 cups, 2 cups, 2 cups. It's a little over 2 cups. Now in here we have some dried thyme. Okay, I don't have fresh ingredients. Now if you have fresh ingredients, you add in a sprig, which is about this long, or about 4 inches long, along with rosemary too. You can add in a sprig, but I'm using about 3/4 of a teaspoon of each. Pepper is for the meat to be the meat. I don't measure it out, and kosher salt. Now I also have white wine, and I have tomato sauce. Now, most recipes call for diced tomatoes. It doesn't make that much of a difference to me. I have what's on hand. I had this. We made pizza the other night. I use this in everything. So don't drive yourself crazy if you don't have it. I'm also using chicken broth. Now, of course, it's beef. You should use beef broth. But I'm not going to drive myself crazy in running out and buying it. I have what's on hand. This will be fine. The beef flavor will come through in the recipe. Now, over here, I have the beef shanks. And what I do to prepare that, now I know from experience, if I put this in, the technique that you use is you first brown the beef shanks. And when you do the browning, what will happen is, if you don't cut, there's a thin membrane that goes around the edge of the beef shank. What will happen is, when you fry this in your pot, it will cup. Okay, and to prevent the cupping, what you do is you take a knife and you go around the outside and make some cuts, and that cuts the membrane. So I go all the way around. Sometimes it's hard to get through that membrane. You know, it's a little tough. Now, I go around like that. I already did the other ones. So those are already finished. Okay. Now, what some people do, I don't get too crazy about, look, I'm going to eat it. I don't care if it falls apart in the pot. But some people, what they'll do is they'll take butcher's twine and they go around and tie it. I'm not going to tie mine. But what I'm going to do is we'll get to the next part after I wash my hands and everything. I have the pot. Now, I do it in the pot for a few reasons. Now, some people, what they do is they do it in the frying pan first, browning the meat, and then putting it in a pot. Me, I don't want to dirty up another, cooking utensil. So what I do is I heat up the oil. The oil, I coat the bottom of the pan. I'm using olive oil. It's very hot now, and I already put the seasoning on one side, salt and pepper on one side. And what I do is put that side down. Oh, yeah. And I put another one in. Oh, and another one in. Now I have to get out some time. And move it around. And I gotta get in the last piece. And now, what will happen is, while it's in on that side, I threw in the one piece on the wrong side. That happens. Sometimes I get too far ahead. Now, I have that in there. And what I'll do is, while it's on that side, I'll season the other side. Salt. Now, be generous with the ingredients, because we're not going to remove the juices and the oil. We're going to cook the onion, the carrots, and the celery in there a little bit. So we have that in there. Now, we don't add in the rosemary and thyme yet. We let that cook until it's brown on both sides, and then I'll remove it. It cooked for a few minutes on each side, and you wait until it's brown. Now, this is a recipe that calls for braising. Braising means to cook in the oven for a few hours in a liquid. Okay, this is the braising method. So we put that in there. The oil and everything is still in the bottom, and what we're going to do is we're going to add in our mirepoix. Okay, this is a French cuisine. Okay, but it carries over into other cuisines. The onion, celery, and carrot. So we're going to add that in. And we're going to saute the vegetables. Now we're going to only saute them for a few minutes. You don't want to overdo it, because it's still going to cook when we add in the liquids and everything in the oven, because this takes about 2 hours in the oven. I'll get back to you after this, after we stir and let it saute. It's been cooking for about 7 minutes or so. Now I'm going to add in some wine. You can skip this part if you don't want wine in your food. It's perfectly okay that you don't do it. And I'm only going to put about half a cup. So half a cup of wine in there. and I give it a turn, a spin, and you can see how the vegetables are very nice. They're beautiful. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in 2.5 cups of the sauce. Now, a can of diced tomatoes is 14 ounces. This is about, let's see, 8, 16, about 20 ounces of tomato sauce that I made. Now, it doesn't have the same consistency of the diced tomatoes, but I like it this way. And like I always say about recipes, recipes are just a guide. You don't have to go with them. Now, with this recipe, usually they serve it with polenta or they serve it on risotto. Okay? Now, I don't have the time to make the polenta or the risotto. Okay? I've made risotto before. And what I'm going to make that also goes with this, okay, that can go as a base is mashed potatoes. We're going to make garlic mashed potatoes. Now another thing you can make is cauliflower. You can take cauliflower and mash that up and use that as a base also for those that are on a diet. Okay, I read about these things, but I'm never on a diet. Okay, now I'm going to wash out my measuring cup with some of the broth. Okay, 2 cups, and I put that in. Okay, now here is where you put in the rosemary and the thyme. So we put that in. Rosemary and thyme. Put that in. Now what we'll do is we'll add back in the meat. And what we want to do is we want to cover the meat with the sauce. And if it's not enough, what we do is we can add in some more tomato sauce that I made and more chicken stock. So we'll cover it. Now you can see that it's not covered 100%. So what we can do is we'll add in a little bit of tomato sauce and we'll add in some more chicken stock. There we go. Now I didn't use the whole container, and you can see it's covered now. Now what we'll do is we'll put a cover on. Now make sure that your cover is good for the oven, because we're going to put this in the oven, and we preheated the oven to 350 degrees, and we're going to place it in the rack, on the rack, and we keep it in there for 2 hours. Okay, so 350 degrees, 2 hours. And we'll show you along with this. Well, we're not going to show you. We're going to make the mashed potatoes while this is cooking. You want it to be timed where the mashed potatoes are at the very end. So about 45 minutes before it's ready, that's when you start doing your mashed potatoes. You start cooking them, have it ready so you can plate it, and then put the ossobuco on top of it. We'll get back to you. Now we're ready to take out the ossobuco, and what we're going to do, we'll take it out. Now be careful when you take it out because it's very, very hot. Now, let's walk over here and take a look inside, and you can see it's still bubbling. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to get a spoon. I don't see my spoon. Oh, here's my spoon. Okay? Now, we made mashed potatoes that were made with garlic. What you do is you boil the potatoes and the garlic at the same time, strain it, add in some milk, add in some butter, and then mash it, and that's what you got. And it's very good. Now, what we do is we'll take one of the shanks and we'll put it on top. And that's how it looks. Very simple recipe. You cook in the oven, no problem. You leave it alone. Anyway, if you like this recipe, I'll include it down below. Like I said, I don't make exact portions. You do what you want. You like carrots, add more carrots. You like celery, add more celery or take away celery. You like onion, put it in. Don't get crazy about recipes. This is what I do. Anyway, please click like, subscribe, share, comment down below. Have a good day, everyone. So anyway, my wife wants me to take a sample of my cooking. I think I'll like it. Now, okay. That is great. Look, simple recipe, doesn't take much to cook. You cook it in the pan first, then add the sauce, no problem. Anyway, have a good day, everyone.